Today, we'll be discussing the cancellation of the second presidential debate as well as the Coney-Barrett hearings.
Followed by a look at controversy surrounding a CSUF club and the Lakers NBA championship win.
And finally, we're committed to bringing you the news, views, and info to go on this episode of the Report Roundtable Discussion. I'm Amanda Mendoza.
I'm Jorge Flores.
I'm Bree Eastlick.
And I'm Andrea Carvajal. As you can see, we are continuing to practice social distancing and are going to conduct our episodes via Zoom for the foreseeable future. Although we cannot be together in person, we invite you all to continue to be part of the discussion. Follow us on Twitter at The Report CSUF or on our Titan TV Instagram at Titan TV CSUF to keep in touch with us and view our new content. Let's get right into today's first story. With only a couple weeks until the election day, the candidates are now entering the final phases of their presidential campaigns. However, the Trump campaign hit an unexpected roadblock following the president's COVID-19 diagnosis earlier this month. As a result, the second presidential debate, scheduled for October 15th, was canceled due to safety concerns. Instead, each candidate has opted to participate in alternative plans after organizers of the debate announced it would resume virtually. However, President Trump and Joe Biden will still have the chance to face off against each other one last time on October 22nd. The final debate will take place in Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee. NBC News correspondent Kirsten Walker will be moderating. So Trump refuses to do virtual debate and his doctors claim he is no longer infectious. Trump's campaign has stated that there is no medical reason to stop the debate and accused the commission of being biased towards President Trump. Biden will participate in a town hall hosted by ABC News on October 15th in Philadelphia. I personally like the precautions that are being taken. I wish they would have come up with some sort of virtual debate this week so we can have more open discussions on various topics rather than one more debate with each other. The vice presidential debate added glass between the two podiums. Do you think we'll see more precautions taken on the 22nd? What do you guys hope to see and be discussed during the last presidential debate? Because there is a new moderator, Kirsten Walker, who will hopefully make it more civilized between the two. What are your thoughts, Jorge?
Well, first of all, I love that you asked this, Andrea. We need to see a more professional debate. We need to see that both candidates, they are looking into our eyes. They are trying to convince us about the proposals they have for our country. Now, let's go super quickly to the timeline, because we know that Donald Trump right now, he's campaigning, and he's campaigning with so many people. There's no social distancing, there is no safety protocols. So what is he trying to portray? That is why when his campaign was mentioning that there's no need to cancel the debate, well, that clearly doesn't make sense to me, because I'm just seeing him like there's no social distancing. So imagine if there was a in-person debate with Joe Biden, well, that could probably make him also to make him contagious of the virus as well. So that was very dangerous. I also agree that I would love to see a virtual debate on the 15th. Now that it got canceled, it's okay for me. But I really consider that this is a result from President Trump's campaign, and that's not correct. Now, like I mentioned before, I hope that the debate is going to go better than the first one, and I have high expectations, at least also for the moderator. So let's see what happens. What do you think, Amanda?
I completely agree, Jorge. I'm really interested to see what this next debate's going to look like. I hope things are a lot more calm and composed. But something that really interested me is now that Trump has contracted COVID, I wonder if they're going to touch on that subject again and how he's going to address his symptoms and how he's going to address what he would do now that he's caught COVID and he understands what these people are going through. I hope he has a change of heart, and I hope he'll want to take more precautions in the future. What do you think, Bree?
Yeah, absolutely. I know what you guys are saying. I totally agree with you. I think that although Trump has contracted COVID, he is not contagious anymore, and he's tested negative multiple times. So it seems to be out of his system. So congratulations, Donald Trump, getting through that. I don't think that his opinion has really changed on how he feels about it and how he wants people to react to it. So I don't think that we're going to see much difference from him and how he's feeling, even though he has gotten the disease. One thing that I'm hoping for in this next debate is for Christian Welker to really come out and be like, look, these are the rules, you guys need to follow them, and you're going to listen to me, and we're going to keep this civil. I just think that she needs to come out strong and set her ground and say, we're not going to have what we did last time. We want everyone to just be able to talk and not go over each other. So I'm hoping that she really sits her ground and states the facts. So how about we move over into some more national news? The senatorial confirmation hearings for potential Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney-Barrett began last week. Republicans who hold the majority in the Senate are seeking to fill the vacant seat left by Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg by streamlining the confirmation process before the November 3rd election. If confirmed, Coney-Barrett, an originalist who clerked under Justice Antonin Scalia, would lock in a more conservative 6-3 majority in the Supreme Court. For more on this hearing, CNN correspondent Karen Kaifa has a story.
With exactly 3 weeks to go until Election Day, Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney-Barrett in the hot seat.
The game plan for today is to do our first round of 30-minute questioning.
Opening statements by Senate Judiciary Committee members Monday foreshadowed common lines of questioning Tuesday. Republicans giving Judge Barrett an opportunity to highlight her resume and her judicial philosophy, much like that of the late Justice Antonin Scalia.
If I'm confirmed, you would not be getting Justice Scalia, you would be getting Justice Barrett. And that's so because originalists don't always agree.
Democrats grilling Judge Barrett on the idea of precedent, especially in the case of Roe v. Wade, which legalized abortion.
Do you agree with Justice Scalia's view that Roe can and should be overturned by the Supreme Court?
I know one reason why it would be comforting to you to have an answer, but I can't express views on cases or pre-commit to approaching a case any particular way.
And the Affordable Care Act. The court is set to hear a challenge to the Obama-era healthcare law on November 10th.
I think you're a sympathetic person. But I do believe that the president selected you because he wanted somebody with your philosophy, and he had a reason for it.
Republicans seeking to move the process along with the goal of final confirmation before Election Day on November 3rd. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
We've talked about Trump racing to fill the seat before November 3rd on here before. We talked about it recently just a few weeks ago. But today, let's talk about Amy Coney-Barrett. Now, she has had a few different controversies since she really came into the public eye, as one of them being the Title IX covering the LGBTQ community. And she says that it's a, quote, strain on the text. She says that it shouldn't cover LGBTQ. Now, according to NPR, though, when asked if it might be proper for a judge to put their religious views above an application of the law, she said, quote, never. It's never appropriate for a judge to impose that judge's personal convictions, whether they derive from faith or anywhere else in the law. She also said that a judge must apply the law as written. Now, to me, it almost seems like she's someone who's not ever going to question whether something is right or wrong morally, if it's categorized as wrong in the law. And that scares me a little bit because I think that different cases, you have to kind of look at things differently and question different things, whether, the law does apply to that specific case. Now, what do you guys think about Coney-Barrett? How are you feeling about her?
I think she's trying to refrain from sharing her opinions. That way she can appeal to as many people as possible in the Senate, such as Republicans and Democrats. So I think that's a really interesting approach, though I don't really agree with it, because I think that the Supreme Court Justice, the future Supreme Court Justice, should be able to be very transparent about their views.
Guys, we have here two concepts. The first one is that her approach is a contextual approach. It's a very originalistic approach. And when it's very something, her point of view is super originalistic, that means that she's just trying to be with the context, with the time, with the epoch, the things were going on. The thing is that there's always change in our life, and there's always change in the history of humanity. So my approach personally is that we need a living constitution approach, that it depends in the time, that in the setting that we're living for. I speak for the youth, and I completely disagree with her approach. I don't think that's going to be necessary for our generations, because that doesn't go with our views, with our mindsets, with our culture. It's completely different from hers. So also my concern is that 6-3 in majority conservative, that doesn't help us at all. Well, at least not for our generation. What do you think, Andrea?
I like what you're saying, Jorge, about her approach, because Barrett's approach to these hearings is to refrain from sharing her opinions, even in the legal eye. And according to CNN, she declined to preview how she would rule on potential cases and is portraying herself as an independent judge without an agenda. And like Bree said, her legal approach to law is an originalist. So she examines the context of each law. And according to Harper's Bazaar, Barrett concludes that Catholic judges should keep church teachings and law separate, and that she does not let her opinion sway her decision in law. But it seems like she's kind of going back on this, especially on abortion rights, when she's using her Christian views to take back everything she's saying, but in the public eye, she's saying another thing. So I'm not really liking how these hearings are going in general, and I know the Republicans want to fill this seat rapidly. I just want to hope that she becomes more honest as a judge in general, and we'll have to see how these hearings go.
Completely. And it's her job to represent us, the whole country, with the justice and the fairness that we need. That's a very controversial topic. And let's move up with more controversial topics, because 2 weeks ago, we spoke about the privacy issues Proctorio, an exam monitoring platform, was raising among CSUF students. Now, a new debate club, Forum Fullerton, was ordered to remove CSUF from its name, possibly after an Instagram post was uploaded criticizing CSUF use of Proctorio. According to the Daily Titan, the club received a cease and desist order from the Cal State University. Ellie Lawrence, president of Forum Fullerton, told the Daily Titan that the university did not mention anything about their affiliation with CSUF prior to the post. He also expressed how another Instagram account under the name of CSUF Barstool promotes underage drinking and contains the school name. Guys, this is a very controversial topic. And let me be clear. First of all, I did research in their account, and I really like their content. I think that the purpose for them is to generate debate and discussion to students. Now, because this organization is not affiliated officially as a club of Cal State Fullerton, then CSUF has no right at all to make this kind of discussions to them. I don't think that's correct. I don't think they have the right, because we've seen a lot of CSU's accounts where they have the CSUF name in their handle and there's no problem. Now, if that's not a problem, because I don't think it is, and they're trying to generate debate, I don't think this should be a discussion at all. Now, if they want to be very strict in the content that they are trying to produce, that in this case is debate, well, why did they haven't say anything about this CSUF Barstool that promotes underage drinking? Why we haven't heard something about that? I don't think it was the best approach from CSUF to send a letter talking to them. I would prefer just for CSUF staff to talk directly to the person, a call or something, but a letter, that seems to, if they're suing that club, and it's a club that is not even affiliated officially to CSUF. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. I think that one thing, looking at their page, I also was researching them and seeing what they're all about, and they aren't just a whole bunch of kids getting together saying, if we don't see change, to this, this, and this, then, we're gonna do this. They aren't coming out and making threats. I see no harm in what they're doing, because they're just students voicing their opinions on what, they think. And I mean, look, that's kind of what we're doing here too, So I think Forum Fullerton stated that they talked to Fullerton administration and they thought that they'd come to an agreement on their name and, their affiliation. But the CSU document stated that they would take legal action against the organization if needed. And it said that they never got the authorization to use the CSU name. So I'm guessing that there must have been some kind of paperwork that, didn't get filled out. We don't really know for sure what happened in that administrative meeting that they had with CSUF. So I think that's something that we really need to think about, and I'm hoping that they'll kind of come out and say that. But I do think it's odd that CSUF, they sent out, this paper the moment that they started talking about Proctorio. So their first meeting, they didn't really say anything when they did their first show, but now as they were talking more about the school in particularly, that's when they come and said something. They're like, oh no, you aren't going to be affiliated with us. So I think that's something to think about. But Forum has said that they're not going to stop. They're going to continue with their shows. And hopefully we'll see, what happens from there.
I completely agree. There should be accountability within the university. There have been many times where the president of CSUF sent out apology emails, but we see no change. Like last year when flyers went around with an offensive word and the Black Student Union had to hold a town hall meeting with the school to discuss it because it took a whole week for an apology from President Virgie. And the Instagram for Forum Fullerton just says that this club claims that they are the voice for students by the students. They want to bring issues that students are having to light, and I think it's their right to.
I agree, Andrea. And I think it's very suspicious that they only give a cease and desist right after they made a post about Proctorio. And I think it's also interesting that it kind of confirms suspicions that this was about Proctorio, because now, allegedly, the CSUF staff is discussing changes to Proctorio. Like, for example, they might not have the cameras on, but they might still lock the screen and track your web traffic. So I think it kind of confirms that this was more about Proctorio than it was having the CSU name in the Instagram handle. But you know what? I think we should move on to something a little more lighthearted, such as sports. Congratulations to the Los Angeles Lakers on their historic 2019-2020 NBA championship win. After 10 years, the Lakers were able to score their 17th championship title after defeating the Miami Heat 106-93 Sunday in a game of 6 of the NBA Finals, tied with the Boston Celtics with most NBA championships. After 3 months of being in the Orlando bubble, there were 0 cases of COVID reported among the players. Their victory was dedicated to the late Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gigi, as they also stood against issues like racism, police brutality, and standing with the Black Lives Matter movement. 4-time NBA championship and MVP LeBron James spoke about the promise he made, stating that he came here to, quote, put this franchise back at the position where it belongs, end quote. Congratulations to LeBron and the Lakers for their win. And with that, that's all the time we have today on the Report Roundtable Discussion. Have a safe week, everyone, and stay tuned for more news, views, and info. I'm Amanda Mendoza.
I'm Jorge Flores.
I'm Andrea Carvajal.
And I'm Bree Eastlick. And as always, stay fresh, Fullerton.